Hi, welcome back to my channel, and in this video we're going to be looking at top tips to how to do your accounts if you are a community interest company. So in this video I'm just going to be talking about some financial tips and things you need to know if you are a CIC, and some tips to how you can avoid getting fined and how you can make sure you're not overpaying on your taxes. So before I jump into that, please hit the subscribe button, subscribe to this channel for everything to do with community interest companies, grant funding, being a community artist, and all that jazz. I do have on my website a course called How to Start a CIC and Get Funded in 4 months. That goes into a lot more detail when it comes to how to do your taxes, CIC taxes, and everything else to do with the setup of a CIC. So I do recommend you do that if you are looking to set up a community interest company. That aside, let's jump into it. So this is an important topic for anyone who's got a community interest company. It's important for everyone to know a few bits and bobs. So let me give you a few tips. One, the first thing you should do when you start a community interest company is get an accountant who knows about CICs. They don't all know. In fact, loads of them don't understand. So really be aware of who you go to. I use Simply Accounts in Redruth in Cornwall. No, I'm not commissioned to recommend them, but I'm just going to say it because everyone will ask me. So that's who I use. She's really good. So I definitely recommend them, or someone else that knows about CIC. Now, the main benefit of phoning an accountant straight away when you open your CIC is because they will tell you if you need to change your year-end date. So this is important. You might think, well, how's that? So a year-end date is when you're going to be submitting your taxes. So you can actually change that date. You might not have known that. And if, depending on where you set up when in the year you set up your CIC, it might be beneficial to move the year-end date, because if you set it up at a point of a year which gives you a short year, that could pass and you didn't realise, because you think, oh, it's a year away that I have to submit my taxes. So then you get fined and you didn't realise. So the first thing you should do when you set up a CIC account is phone an accountant, say, do I need to change my year-end date? Check that out, and it's really simple to do. You literally just go on your web filing, which is another important thing you need to know if you've got a CIC, and I cover this in my setup course and my membership course. So a web filing is on Companies House. When you set up a company, everyone has to do their web filing every year, and it's like a profile on Companies House. It's really simple. You go on it and you change the year-end date. Really simple to do, takes 2 seconds. But if you didn't know that, you wouldn't have known to do it. So that was my first tip. So second tip is, again, coming back to web filing, is to keep up to date with your web filing. After the end of every year, you are going to have to submit a web filing submission. So you have to do every year. So that's important to do. When you open your CIC, you will get a code. So just bear in mind that you need to keep that code to be able to set up your web filing. Tip 3, just remember that your end of year accounts are different. So a CIC accountant will tell you that. There's a CIC 35 form that you need to submit and a check. So you will need to submit it to Companies House and HMRC. So just bear that in mind. And again, my course goes into much more detail about how you have to do all of that. But just bear in mind that you do need to do that. That is a legal obligation, and if you don't do it, you will get fined. So my next tip, tip number 4, is don't overpay on your taxes. So think about claiming back anything that you need to. Now, when you are running your CIC, of course, you're going to be putting any materials and stuff like that through your CIC. Make sure you pay yourself properly, of course. And then once you've paid yourself, assuming you're going to pay yourself as a self-employed person or into your LTD, when you are doing your tax return as you as a self-employed person or you as an LTD, just remember to expense things. So you may have, for example, when you set up your CIC, before you got your grant funding, you might have been paying out of your pocket for different things. So make sure you've kept that. Now, you're not going to be able to claim that back in terms of when you apply for grant funding. You can't put that on as a grant funding form. 3 months ago, I paid for this. Can I put that on a grant form? You can't do that because a grant needs to be for anything forward. So it can't be for anything you've done in the past. But anything you have done in the past, when you've paid yourself, you can then claim that out of your self-employed tax return. You can through your LTD. So for example, say you bought your website domain, set up a website before you got your grant funding. You've paid for that out of your own pocket. So when you do your self-assessment tax return, you can make sure that you claim that back. So other things you can claim back on your self-employed tax returns or through your LTD are things like your home working costs. So do check the government website for the up-to-date amount of money that you can claim if you are working from home. So I did this on my last tax return and I was able to claim about, I think it was £29 a month, so back on my bills. So that was useful. So I was able to claim that. Other things like mileage on my car, if I'm driving to anything, so mileage you can claim back. If you hire a car or if you hire a van, you can also, if the cost of a van, if you've got a work van, you can put that through your self-employed taxes. Also, if you've done any talks or gone to exhibitions or paid for any tickets to anything, save all that stuff. If you've bought any books to do with, motivating you or just research or anything like that, put that through your self-employed. If you have gone abroad and you've gone to see some projects or done some kind of research abroad, you can put that through your self-employed taxes. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can put through your self-employed taxes that are things that have benefited you to do work for your CIC. So just bear in mind, you don't need to overpay on your taxes. The aim of the game is to get that payment down so you're not overpaying. So I hope that was useful on those tax tips. Do get back to me if you've got any questions. You can jump over to my website, become a member, and I can mentor you and help you save money. But you can also just ask me any questions in the chat for free and I'll try to get back to you.